What up, guys? It's your boy, the Hater, and I watched for the first time in a long time a full episode of AEW Dynamite. Now, like I said last month, I'm back, you know what I'm saying? So we're going to get to the reviews. We're going to do a lot more reviews in the next few weeks. But we're going to do them a bit quicker, you know what I mean? Let's just get to the bottom of this. I took notes, so I'm prepared, you know what I'm saying? Now, as you may imagine, the show was not good, you know, but we're going to get to why in 1 second, all right? But first, before we do that, let's just start out by saying the obvious, right? This company is full of jobbers. Now, this is evidenced immediately by the first match. Swerve and Arbori come out, right? And now their new gimmick basically is that they're not on the same page. Like, I'm supposed to give a rat's ass about this, you know what I mean? I couldn't care less if Isaiah Swerve Scott or Keith Lee get fired tomorrow, let alone whether they like each other or not. So it's going to be them versus the Gun Club, them and the Gun Club versus FTR and the Acclaim. The Acclaim come out, they say something about Tom Brady getting losses, even though he just won like one of the best comebacks ever this Sunday, but that's neither here nor there. I like the Acclaimed, obviously. The whole scissor thing I think is stupid, but whatever, it is what it is, right? And now you see this equation. You know, you see on one side, you got a bunch of jobbers. The other side, you have the tag team champions and FTR. So obviously, the tag team champions and FTR are the ones that win. So this match, I give it a 0 out of 10, just for predictability alone, and for the fact that it added absolutely nothing to my night. You know what I mean? Next up, we have a boring MJF promo. Now, recently, MJF's promos, from what I understand, have been praised and gotten critical acclaim. Now, I'm not going to say he's the worst at promos, but this promo was garbage. And the reason why it was garbage was because it was very generic. Basically, he said what every heel in his position says. And what he said was that he's the guy that can be in posters, and he can be in Hollywood, and he can be on the morning show. No, he can't. No, he can't. I'm going to say it. He's not appealing enough to a mass audience, right? He's funny looking. I'm not going to say he's an ugly dude or anything like that. I mean, I personally think he is. But, you know, maybe some people think he's attractive. I don't know. Maybe girls do. Fuck knows, right? But what I do know is that he's goofy looking. He's got a weird nose. The top of his head is shaped weirdly. And his haircut is shit. It's like the haircut you get when your parents choose your haircuts. You know what I'm saying? When you're a little kid. So I don't give a rat's ass about MJF. I hope he becomes champion just because anything's better than Moxley at this point. But whatever, you know what I mean? He's garbage. The ratings are not going to go up because of him. He will never do what he thinks or what he says he's going to do, which is bring back wrestling to being cool again to talk about. Absolutely not. You're going to need people like The Rock and Stone Cold for that. And Stone Cold or The Rock, he is not. Next up, Ethan Page versus Eddie Kingston in some match for some tournament that's going to determine the guy that's going to lose to the eventual winner of Moxley versus MJF. You know, that's all this tournament is. Like, it's meaningless. The winner, I already know the winner of the tournament is not going to win the championship. You know, unless like someone dies, God forbid. But Ethan Page beats Eddie Kingston. I couldn't care less. Eddie Kingston is so bad. He is so bad at what he does. You know, people keep saying he's good on the mic. I don't see it, but on the ring, he's one of the worst I've ever seen. There's a part where Ethan Page is trying to hit the Ego's Edge from the top rope, like an avalanche Ego's Edge, and he's clearly trying to grab one of the arms of Eddie Kingston. And Eddie Kingston keeps trying to give him the other arm. You know, this is a testament to how both men are crap, right? They can't even coordinate which arm to go with. If you go for the arm and it's not there, go for the other one. Go for both. I don't know. You know what I mean? Figure this out beforehand. Also, when Ethan Page pushes Eddie Kingston so his balls hit the turnbuckle, Eddie Kingston holds on to the turnbuckle with his arms and gently lowers his balls onto it to obviously prevent himself from having his balls hurt, which I get. But that's the sign of a shitty wrestler. Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, when they get botched on the top rope, they take it in the balls, man. They go down hard, you know what I'm saying? Because they care about the craft. And that's a theme that kept coming up this night, caring about your craft. Next up, we have Arya Davari, who's doing a money gimmick. I don't know why this guy even has a job. Wardlow comes out and squashes him. Davari gets no reaction. Wardlow barely gets a reaction. It doesn't matter. Powerhouse Hobbs comes out. He rules. I like Powerhouse Hobbs. I want to see him beat Wardlow. I think he's more interesting than Wardlow, personally. And then Samoa Joe is obviously about to betray Wardlow. And the note I wrote here in my notes was, Joe is obviously about to betray him. And shocker, he does. Right? The shocker he does part of the note I wrote after it happened. The Joe is obviously about to betray him. I wrote as the camera was making it clear because Joe was standing right behind him. Joe betrays Wardlow. It's completely meaningless. Who gives a shit? It's not like Samoa Joe and Wardlow are like best friends or anything, right? Who cares about Samoa Joe? Next up, Paige comes out and cuts a promo about how she's awesome. Paige is shit. Paige is one of the worst wrestlers in the history of wrestling and arguably the worst female wrestler of all time. Paige is not good. You know, she kept pretty much putting herself over throughout her whole career, including today, as how she's good. They made a movie about her, like The Rock made a movie about her, all this stupid crap, but she's not good. You know what I'm saying? It's as simple as that. She could have been doing this for 17 years and still be shit at it, which is exactly what's happening, right? I remember her debut when she came out to, like, I think congratulate AJ Lee. She's like, I'm just here to congratulate you. What the fuck are you? You know what I'm saying? AJ Lee was rightfully upset. Paige beats her in like 1 second. You know what I mean? Who gives a shit? Paige is not good. Paige is shit. I've hated her forever, and my hate was solidified on Tough Enough, where like Sonya Deville, whatever the fuck her real name is, was like, you know, I'm legit because like I do MMA, right? And Paige's like, you don't think I'm legit? And Sonya Deville was like a jobber, so she couldn't say, no, of course not. I'd beat your ass in 10 seconds. You know what I'm saying? I would beat your ass, and I'd beat all these girls' asses in about 5 seconds each. You know what I mean? Not to say that none of them are tough, but Paige, I mean, she really thinks she's like a star, and she's not. So basically, she tells Britt Baker that Britt Baker's not a star. Who gives a fuck? You know what I'm saying? They're both right, and they're both wrong. Neither of them are good. They both suck. So it's like a net zero for me. You know, I give the segment a 0. Then we have a horrible promo between the Best Friends and Jay Lethal's people, like whatever, Jay Lethal's group. You know, this was really bad. It was basically like an amalgamation of several backstage promos that were like cut really, really quickly. That was done for comedic effect, but it wasn't funny. Basically, Danhausen comes out, talks some shit. They set up a match for Friday. It feels like all they do on Wednesday is set up things for Friday. All they do on Friday, presumably, set up things for Wednesday. So who cares? Then after that, they cut to the same exact situation, and the Best Friends are like, hey, yo, you guys, you're idiots or something, right? And then like Jay Lethal and Sanjay and the big one are like, what? And then like Trent Beretta is like, yeah, you heard me. And Jay Lethal's like, what are you gonna do about it? He's like, I'll fight you right now. So they have a match. You know what I'm saying? That's stupid. They just booked a match because like one of them called the other one stupid. Nobody wants to see this at all. But basically, long story short, Jay Lethal obviously wins. He hits the lethal injection, and then after that, Jeff Jarrett comes out, and now Jeff Jarrett is called the Last Outlaw, and his new catchphrase is "Don't wind me up" instead of "Don't piss me off," right? And he really is a legend. I've always liked Jeff Jarrett. I never understood the hate that he got. I mean, sure, some of his title reigns, you know, shouldn't have happened, or they should have been a little bit like shorter, but the facts are what the facts are. Jeff Jarrett is a legend. Jeff Jarrett, you know, was a star at some point. Like some of his best work obviously was in WWF before he went to WCW and became like a 17,000-time WCW World Champion. But don't worry about that. But before that, he was great. Then we have Jungle Boy, who pretty much just says that he's going to say something on Friday. Like, this is a complete waste of time. It's literally a guy saying, hey, you know what? Like, I have the mic right now, but I'm going to say something on Friday. Give a fuck. I don't care what it is. You know what I'm saying? No one's going to tune in. Like, not one fan is going to tune in only because of that. Anyways, Moxley comes out and cuts a promo about how he's tougher than MJF. William Regal's there. Nobody cares. John Moxley's boring. Then Jamie Hayter comes out, and she's stolen my name, and she beats Sky Blue with the Rainmaker clothesline. Nobody cares. Then they show Lance Archer in the back, and he's just fucking around. You know what I'm saying? Years after his debut, years after accomplishing absolutely nothing in this company, all this guy does is come back. You know what I'm saying? Like, he just disappears into the wind, and then every, like, 7 months, like the Hater, he shows up and he's like, I'm back, motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Except here's the difference. When the Hater comes back for real, which is now, cucks, when the Hater is back, I'll tell you this. This is what's going to happen. I'm going for the championship. I'm going for the gold, and this guy will never go for the gold. He's beating up Ricky Starks, who has pretty much gone from someone that was over to a complete nobody. I'd like to take a moment to use this time to talk about this segment specifically, because this was, in my opinion, the most telling of all the segments of this episode. In this segment, we learned a few things. Number one, we learned that absolutely no continuation is going to happen with Ricky Starks. This guy's done. He's getting his ass beat by a part-timer, basically, called Lance Archer. But more importantly, the same thing can be said about Lance Archer himself, right? Lance Archer is probably one of the better ones out of these jabrones that have debuted and done nothing. You know what I mean? He actually has a look. He is intimidating, and he's a big, strong guy who has some pretty cool moves. You know, like, that's the problem with AEW and with wrestling today, right? There's a lot of wrestlers that just aren't that good. And part of it is they don't try, right? Case in point, earlier in the night, there was a part where, what's his face? Jay Lethal, during his match with Trent Beretta, Jay Lethal throws Trent Beretta, you can go look it up, motherfuckers. he throws him into the steel steps. And Trent Beretta doesn't even pretend to hit them. He just kind of like hops over them, right? And it really shows that Trent Beretta doesn't care enough to take the bump, to take some pain, to make it look real, right? I don't blame him, don't get me wrong. Trent Beretta's been busting his ass for this company, and he's got nothing for it, except for a paycheck, But if he wants to keep that, he needs to hit the steel steps, right? But Lance Archer, he's not like Miro, right? Like Miro is big and strong, but Miro has 3 moves, and the moves are boring. He has a super kick and a camel clutch that nobody gives a shit about. That's the problem with Miro. Like nobody understands that. They're like, why isn't Miro the world champion? Gee, because he has a camel clutch finisher, but does not look like Scott Steiner. So that's that. You know what I'm saying? So, but Lance Archer, he's got cool moves. He does choke slams. He does the blackout. He does like crazy shit. He does like moonsaults. You know what I mean? Like he's a badass. So I don't know why he wasn't pushed. I mean, of course I do. Because there's no time for him. But the facts are what the facts are, right? It's like you want to push someone like Lance Archer because Lance Archer actually has an upside, which is what we call when someone has some potential to be somebody, right? Miro doesn't really have an upside. He does. He has a bit more upside than most people, but not the same kind of upside as Lance Archer. Then you have people like Ethan Page who have 0 upside. Like this guy, at best, he's going to become the next EC3 or Bobby Roode. You know what I mean? And when I say Bobby Roode, I mean Bobby Roode now in WWE, not Bobby Roode when he was champion. So that's all there is to it. You know what I mean? It starts and ends there as far as I'm concerned. So there you have it. Nobody wants to push this guy, and I understand. I'm not saying he's the best. Nobody wants to push him, and that's the problem with AEW. It's like you had the opportunity. Like I thought to myself when they showed Lance Archer beating up Ricky Starks, I thought to myself, what if when Lance Archer debuted and went after Cody Rhodes with Jake the Snake, what if he just had him destroy Cody Rhodes, right? And then just had him win like his next 30 matches. And imagine a scenario, I know this is a long shot, but imagine a scenario where Lance Archer was still undefeated today, right? Imagine how over he would be. But instead, they didn't do that. So he's not over, right? I don't know why they didn't do it. Again, I'm not saying do it with Lance Archer, but do it with somebody, right? Make somebody strong. Book somebody as being strong. They haven't, right? Look at what happened with Roman Reigns on the other side of the coin, right? Roman Reigns, boring as hell, let's be honest, He's not the most exciting, he never was, right? They changed his gimmick up a little bit. They give him a new theme song. They put Paul Heyman there. They give him a stable. These are things that you could do with anybody, right? It's not like Roman Reigns is special somehow. You could put anybody with Paul Heyman and they get the Paul Heyman boost. Now, when I say Paul Heyman boost, I know Paul Heyman doesn't add anything to that, but, there's a boost that's associated with him. So, and then they make him undefeated for like 3 years, so his stock rises, right? Lance Archer is the opposite of that. They fucked up. Last and least, we have Daniel Bryan versus Sammy Guevara in another predictable main event. It doesn't matter. They each get a fall apiece, I think. I wasn't really paying attention. But what's it called? Daniel Bryan hits the fucking Buzaiku knee. And then for some reason, Sammy Guevara just gets up and does a moonsault. Right? He just completely no-sells his finisher that put down John Cena. And then eventually, Sammy Guevara goes for like some sort of top rope move. I think it's like a swanton. Daniel Bryan raises his knees, hits him, grabs him, starts pounding him, puts him in the label lock, and then he changes the label lock. He shifts it to like grab the other arm too, which begs the question, why doesn't he just make that his finisher? What's up with these people having these shitty finishers and then having like a better version of that same finisher, right? So it's like Kurt Angle when he would do the ankle lock, and then eventually started like laying down, or he would do the ankle lock, and after like his 4th or 5th attempt, he would grapevine the ankle. You know what I'm saying? Why didn't you just start by doing that? Just start by grapevining the ankle so the guy can escape. So, anyways, it is what it is, but that's what happens, right? The show was abysmal. I couldn't wait for it to be over so I could play some God of War, and that's all I gotta say about that. I'll see you motherfuckers soon, though, bitch.